This video is brought to you by the Farmer Klein YouTube channel. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Farming Simulator 22 Map First Impressions video. Today we're going to take a look at Fairhead. But before that, this video is brought to you by SimNoob and Paul Sanderson. Thank you for being farm barons. So the Fairhead map can be found over at the farmingsimulator.com website or the in-game downloadable content menu, and as of the 1.0 release, this map is available for all platforms. Let's read some of the description. Explore Fairhead, a coastal map inspired by the real Fairhead in Northern Ireland and adapted for Farming Simulator. This map includes narrow roads with stunning views and over 120 fields, primarily consisting of grassland. This map is suited to small and medium-sized machinery that can navigate the narrow and twisty roads. This map includes over 100 custom 3D models, 2 forestry areas, 2 lakes, 2 grain sellpoints, a silage sellpoint, as well as custom lighting, custom foliage, and Northern Irish license plates. I will tell you that this map does not have any required mods, but we are going to be using the mods we typically use when we take a look at maps. That is additional field info, additional game settings, animal food overview, field lease, field calculator, and precision farming. In addition, if you happen to load this map up in farm manager mode or start from scratch, you will find the main farm is built out exactly how you see it here in new farmer mode. In fact, all the farms are built out exactly how you see them here in new farmer mode. You do own machinery in all play modes, and you do not own any land in those alternate play modes as well. Loading into the map for the very first time, we do start here at our main starting farm. Let's go ahead and take a look at the PDA in a little bit more details. See, we have a fair bit of fields to the south, and then a lot of this area to the north is going to be 100% grassland areas. Take a look at our crops. We do have all the standard crops available to us in Farm Sim 22, as well as the premium expansion crops. And if we take a look at our lands area, you'll see we start by loading Farmland ID 2, 4, and 5. Farmland ID 2 is also going to include the main starting farm that can be bought for $753,000 in any alternate game mode. The starting farm includes sheep and cow areas. In addition to the starting farm, we also have a cow farm here at Farmland ID 24 that can be bought for $691,000. We have a sheep farm at Farmland ID 38 that can be bought for $296,000. We have the BGA that can be bought for $632,000 at Farmland ID 64. Farmland ID 15 includes a cow and chicken farm that can be bought for $803,000. Then Farmland ID 21 includes another cow farm that again can be bought for $728,000. Taking a look at our farmland lease screen, this is going to show us all of the viable farmlands, how large those farmlands are, if those farmlands include any field or fields, what is included, then lastly, how much is that farmland going to cost us. You can see here, most of these farmlands are going to be 4 hectares or smaller in size. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our field calculator screen. We start out by owning fields 4, 8, 9, 10, 49, 55, and 111. We can take a look and see how large each particular field is, then go back and cross-reference that with the farmland lease screen to see what it might cost to buy any one particular field. A lot of these fields are going to be below 1 hectare in size, so again, ideally generated for small and medium-sized machinery. Let's take a look at our precision farming soil map. This map is making use of the US soil map that is a part of the precision farming mod. So let's go ahead and see how that is being applied to these fields. As you can see, overall, the soil types are laid out in kind of stripes going from east to west and north to south. We've got a fair bit of silty clay stripes, loam, sandy loam, and loamy sand all intermixed. Taking a look at our crop counter, we do have the standard base game crop counter available to us on this map. And looking down through our prices screen, we do not have the ability to sell grapes or olives on this particular map. We've got the standard growth schedule. It is available there for grapes and olives to grow and be harvested, as well as they are available for placing on the map itself because we did see them listed on the main PDA crops schedule. We do have the ability to do other crops like cotton and sugarcane, although, and then we also have the ability to sell our eggs, wool, and milk, as well as our silage, hay, straw, and grass. Now, with respect to base game production items, let's just cut to the chase. We have the ability to sell butter and cheese. That's it. None of the other base game production items can be sold on this map without putting down your own sell point. In addition to that, we do not have the ability to buy bulk lime, but we do have a stone crusher pre-placed. So if you are going to play with stones enabled, you will be able to get rid of your stones with the debris crusher. With respect to the platinum expansion, we do not have the ability to sell any of the platinum expansion production items here on this map, but we do, if you have the premium expansion, have the ability to sell the premium expansion production and root crops because we have a potato and sugar beet sell point available on the map. With respect to pumps and hoses, if you are playing with pumps and hoses, you do have the ability to get rid of your separated manure. Taking a look at our vehicle overview, all of our vehicles are owned, none of them are leased, and overall most of them are very well maintained with low operating hours. Our worst vehicle is going to be our 1986 pickup with 120 operating hours and 50% wear. While we do have 2 cow barns and a sheep barn at the main starting farm, we do not have any starting animals in those pens. We also do have contracts on fields we do not own. We do not have any production chains at the start. In fact, this map has only one production change built in, and that is the BGA. And this map does not have any collectibles. Let's go ahead and take a look at our starting fleet. We start out with the Massey Ferguson 6S 180 small tractor, as well as the Massey Ferguson 4710M. We have the Manitou MLT 737 telehandler, our 1986 pickup truck, the Karat 140 TD trailer, as well as the Ecomat plow and the Torino 3FX cultivator. We have the Kuhn HR 4040 power harrow, as well as the HK25 NS 3030 Nordstein seeder and power harrow combination. We have a Hardy Mega 1200L fertilizer and herbicide sprayer. We have the Amazon ZA-TS 3200 fertilize spreader, the Manure Director 14 manure spreader, as well as a Super Cease 800 slurry tanker. We have the APV GK300M1 full edition. This is going to be a roller for our grass specifically. It also has the ability to seed grass as well as canola and oilseed radish. We have the GMD 4411 side mower, our Fenix 904 tedder, as well as the Semez Z2 840H windrower. We have the Pottinger Faro 4010D forage wagon and the Massey Ferguson 1840 baler. We have the RA 142 TMR mixing wagon, as well as the Dusseldorf 3000 silo compaction roller. For our telehandler, we have the manure fork and pallet fork, as well as a 600 kilogram front weight and the Transport Wagon TPS 500S low loader. Taking a look at our mods and DLCs page, you will see that we do not have any custom vehicles or implements that are included with this map. With that, let's take a little bit of a look around the main starting farm. We have our sleep trigger located here at the farmhouse. And of course, our pickup truck. Making our way around these buildings. We have our first animal pen here for the large cow barn. 16 cows are available for placement within this barn. Here we have the milk trigger. I had to check. Some of these doors are not operable, and some of them are. Inside here we have our dump point for food. We have our pickup point. I believe this is going to be for our manure. We have a storage silo for seed or mineral feed. Now, with respect to, can the farms be customizable? I'm going to tell you that pretty much, no, they're not. In fact, on this farm, the only thing I was able to sell was this storage silo. Everything else seems to be pre-baked in. You will see that we do have kind of a concrete texture down here on the ground. This appears to be a pre-placed concrete texture based by how we have these kind of these edges. And we have the other sheep barn. So we have our food trough here. We have our sheep drop-off point. 70 sheep in this facility. And another trend that we are going to find on this map is the triggers are not super well indicated. In fact, you're going to find that we're going to be pulling up the F5 menu button quite a bit to try to get a general idea of where, possibly where, things like the wool spawn point might be, or where some of the sell points are going to be located, because there's an area on the map that has several sell points that are not super clear as to where they are until we pull up the triggers. And that is something that I think could be improved for this particular map. So you did see some bales of hay over in the other barn. We got a couple totes of herbicide, some bags of fertilizer. And we have a manure heap. Then we have our other cow building. It's going to hold 30 cows. Right here. And then our food trough and our manure point for that. We have our milk trigger there. And that is pretty much the main starting farm here on Fairhead. Let's get a little bit of altitude, and I think at this point you're going to get your very first looks at this map, and why I said earlier that it is just visually a very, very stunning map. In fact, I really regret that the score that this map is going to get, but the score is the score. The scoring metric is the scoring metric, and we are now at well, I shouldn't say well. We are over 300 maps in our map playlist for FS22, all of them being reviewed with the same scoring metric. Speaking of the scoring metric, with respect to production being built in or areas set aside for such, this map does have a BGA plant pre-placed. As such, we are going to be giving the map a full point because it does have production built in. And, well, I suppose you could find some areas to put production down, but overall the map, as you can see, has lots of rolling hills all over the place. So down below we have the sheep farm located down here. We'll get a much closer look at all of these areas when we get to the drive around portion of the video. Something else I want to point out is that we have a mixture of fences, stonework, and just regular hedges that are separating out these fields. I discovered that the stonework is collision free. So wherever you see just stones, well, there are no collisions on those stones. We're going to be able to walk right through those. Where we have just hedges, the hedges themselves are also collision free, but you can see the land has been kind of mounded up here, right? So cutting through a hedge, ultimately you are going to hit quite a bump in the land. Then of course areas where we do have fences, they are going to have collisions. There are areas where we have utility poles that are crossing the fields. Those utility poles also do have collisions. just checking. I saw the food ring here and I thought, do we have maybe a hidden cow pasture here? But I bought the land. Nothing has popped up, so that is not the case. Up here we have the BGA. This is on ownable land. If you do buy the land, you will own the BGA at that point. And you can sell the biogas plant, but what goes away is simply what is on the screen right here. The rest of this is all static. Over here we have our vehicle dealer. We'll be coming back to that. Then here we have our animal dealer. And we have a Grain Sellpoint. Grain Sellpoint is only denoted by the grate. We do not have any trigger markers, nor do we have the floating blue icon. Coming across the southern edge of the map, we can just kind of take a look across to the north. Again, we get this really nice representation of the rolling hills. And once again, I wanted to show you that we are just going to walk right through the stone. We have our stone crusher located here north of field 13. Here we have the chicken and cow farm. We made our way over to another cow farm. With respect to can we sell all basic crops, production items, and animal outputs, we are going to be taking a fair bit of points off with a half a point because of the fact that there are just so many fill types that we cannot sell. It's going to be at least, if not just a little bit more than half of the total fill types that are available with the base game. So here we have another pre-placed cow farm. Now we have multiple sell points located over here, and most of them are rather obscure. Kind of hard to notify where we have things. So let's go ahead and pull up the F5 menu. So we have a sell point located right here, right next to the silo. We've got a sell point located right here in front of these cotton bales. We have a wood sell point located right here. The only way you know of it, we got some planks of wood there. And then on the other side, in the building, we have another sell point. But again, your only indication that this might possibly be a sell point is the fact that we have some barley heaped up here on the side of the building. So it would have been nice to have seen indicator markers here, little floaty blue icons, because again, players can turn those off if they want to. But here, you might just roll up in here and go, I don't really know where anything goes. And just hoping you get a dump indicator off of your trailer when you roll over the sell trigger. With respect to, can the farms be customizable? As we've mentioned earlier, these farms are all, for the most part, hard-coded. Random things, little things like fuel trailers, not fuel trailers, but fuel triggers can be sold. The seed and mineral feed silo typically can be sold. This one isn't, but the other one at the main starting farm can be sold. Other than that, the rest of these buildings are basically hard-coded into the map. So again, we're going to take a fair bit of points off there, giving the map 1/4 of a point on that scoring metric. Let's make my way back over to the vehicle dealer, where we'll grab our Mahindra and do the drive around. But still, it's just an amazing map visually. It does fall short with respect to our scoring metric on several scoring points. Those things could be corrected with an update, or maybe this is exactly how the map author has intended it, because again, it is inspired by the real Fairhead location. And if that's the case, that's fine, right? That's their prerogative. It's just not going to score well when we compare it to our standard scoring metric. Down here at the vehicle dealer, we do have marker indicators for our dealer trigger, which is always good to see. So we have our markers where we can buy, sell, trade, and repaint things. We have our dealer trigger right here for the shop. Let's go ahead and pick out that Mahindra, see where a vehicle spawns in. So not the largest area for our vehicles to spawn in at, but again, we don't have the largest exit of our shop either. And again, we've got fairly narrow lanes on this map. So, right, we're not going to be buying large machinery here. It's going to be designed for things that fold up very, very tightly and are much, much smaller machinery. Taking a left out of the dealer, we're going to shoot right over here to our biogas plant. And again, we have what looks like kind of prefabbed concrete here. So again, we are not going to be able to change most of this area. We do have our BGA though. So we do own it once we buy the land. So we have our digester, we have our dump point for our slurry. Then we have our digestate fill point. And again, we can sell this part of the BGA. Some of the deco elements are going to remain that are over here. And then all of that structure is also going to remain. We have two 3-sided silage bunkers. And I like these silage bunkers where we can back up a trailer to dump into the rear. And then we have a sellable fuel tank over here on the side. If you are going to be running a silage operation, we also have some nice storage sheds for all of your machinery. I don't believe we're going to have traffic on this map, again because we have such narrow lanes. So we have our animal dealer located over here to the right, and then another grain sell point is going to be located right here inside of the shed where we have our grate. With respect to buildings where appropriate are using the new texturing technique, I'm going to be giving the map a half a point here. There are buildings that are definitely using the new texturing technique. We've got farmhouses that have the new windowing technique as well. But overall, we do have, as best I can tell, kind of a hybrid mix between new and old texturing. I'm not a complete expert on that, so some of these may be kind of just subtly using the new technique that I did not necessarily pick up on with a quick observation. So here you can see we can easily drive in and out of the fields with hedges, as long as they don't have those raised land areas. We have our stone crusher. Really well. I don't know. I can't speak well enough of visually how this map looks. I think sometimes people confuse my scoring system with my overall enjoyment or liking of a particular map, and that is not how this scoring system works. So we have our sleep trigger. Inside the shed, we should have our maintenance trigger. A lot of these doors are slow to open, so if you click on them and nothing happens, maybe give them another second or two. See if maybe they just are going to be opening a little bit slower than one might expect. let's make our way back into the farmyard. This is going to be chicken and cows. So we have 90 cows in this building. We have our food dump as well as our, I believe this is going to be for our manure. This building is going to be for our chickens. So we have our food dump for our chickens. And on the other end of the building, we're going to have our animal point for our chickens. 960 chickens in this building. This building does not have operable doors, so we just have to imagine there's 960 chickens inside. We have our fuel tank. On this side, we have then our pickup point for something. Could that be milk? It's hard to say. There's no visual indicators that this might be milk, like, you know, it's the milk tanks or something. But that is my best guess. This is going to be milk. And this is over here is going to be for manure. That might be wrong. It might be switched around. Coming back to our chicken coop. Real quick. We don't have an indicator as to where our eggs are going to come out at. I think our eggs are going to spawn here. You go to F5, we've got that box. That's my only thought process with respect to where the eggs might spawn. Again, it would be really nice to have these markers down. I think we don't have the markers down because we have what looks like kind of this prefab concrete slab that is placed at all of the farm areas. Continue to make our way across the southern side of the map. I'm going to try to look around while at the same time not running into things. So here we have that hedge. Again, we have this large mound of dirt. I'm sure that that is a berm. Maybe that's the right word for it. A berm. We got the main starting farm off in the distance there. Coming up to the next cow farm. And again, we're going to have our sleep trigger here at the farmhouse. Just kind of sneak our way around these farm buildings. So we have our maintenance trigger inside that barn. We've got a fuel tank as well as our silo for seed and mineral feed. We have our milk trigger there for these cows. We have our dump point for our food. These are kind of like curtains. And we have our drop-off point for our cows. 90 cows here. Then we have our manure point here around the back. Let's go and take a look at our animal food overview screen. Overall, it looks like we've got fairly standard food requirements for all of our animals on this map. Let's do a little in-cab perspective as we drive over to the large set of sell points. This may not be the map for you if you're not the best kind of driver. Because again, we've got very narrow lanes. We've got fences with collisions right up against this road. And then here we have those sell points we talked about in the flyover. We have a grain sell point here. Let's go ahead and pull this up on the map. Over here by field 112. We have coastal shores. We have coastal dairies. We have coastal wool. And we have coastal sawmill. So that is coastal grain sell point. This is going to be coastal dairy. Then we have our coastal wool inside here, and we have our coastal sawmill located right there. Again, we've got kind of this prefab concrete going on here, and I think that is why we don't have indicators. We can still have the little blue floaty icons though, so that would be nice to see. This field might need a little smoothing out. It's a little rough there with the, what's that, parsnips that are going on there. Let's make our way up to the next farm. This is in the extreme northeast of the map. That's going to take us off the map's edge. Do not want to go there. Let me know what you all think about this map, the lay of the land, visually how it looks. What do you think of the baked in farm areas? Is that a big deal to you? Not a big deal to you? This farm has quite the long lane associated to it. So we have our farmhouse over here to our right with our sleep trigger. Roll in here to our farmyard itself and fuel trailer. Another cow barn for 70 cows this time around. We have our food dump. This is most likely going to be our dairy or milk fill point, and overall over here where we're going to draw out our manure. Now I want to jump over here because there's one farm that we kind of skipped because we started here and worked our way around. Now I don't want to go and necessarily drive all the way back over to this farm, so I'm just going to jump over here to the sheep area. So we have our food trough. 70 sheep in this pasture area, and once again, not super sure where our wool is going to come in at. So again, we don't have markers here. Maybe inside. Maybe not inside. Maybe right here. Possibly. That is going to be a pretty big point of interest for our last scoring metric. And that is player and character interactive areas being clearly marked. They're just not clearly marked on this map, which really is a frustrating thing because of the beauty of the map itself. A lot of that seems to maybe frustratingly get lost when you as a player just don't know where certain things are supposed to happen, right? Now, obviously, you start having wool, well, it's going to spawn, you're going to see it. You start having eggs, they're going to spawn, you're going to see it. But if you want to go and sell those eggs, right? Let's see where our eggs sell at. They're going to sell at Coastal Stores Limited. Coastal Stores Limited. Right there. So that is inside where the grain was located. Okay? Those areas are not super clear to the player. So our last scoring metric of player and interactive areas being clearly marked, I'm going to give it a half a point. Half a point there. So overall, this map is going to get a score as presented here as 2.75 out of 5. The big areas where we lost points, we lost 3/4 of a point because of so many things not being available for sale. Simple XML coding could have made all these things available for sale, and that could have bumped this map up to 3.5 out of 5. Easy right there, without really having to sacrifice too much of the intended spirit of the map. We lost a half a point with respect to, again, all the things that we couldn't sell. We lost 3/4 of a point because of the fact that we couldn't kind of get rid of any of the things at the main farms. Again, that may be a design choice by the map author, and if that is the case, well, that's fine. That is their prerogative. But what we are looking for is to see how customizable any one of these farms is going to be. And then lastly, we could have gained a fair bit of points if we had more clear indication as to what was and where were things going to spawn and be sold at. I'd love to know your all's thoughts down in the comments below. As I mentioned earlier, with respect to this particular map, is it a map that you're going to give it a play? What do you think of these tight, narrow roads, these rolling hills of grassland and farmland alike? And until next time, happy farming.